All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with just 3 weeks to go in the regular season in the NFL, playoff spots as well as seeding for the postseason are still up in the air. And right now, I'm going to take this time out to talk about things on the AFC side of the ledger. And what do we know? So, right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, and Houston Texans have all clinched their respective division titles, while per the result of Indianapolis losing to the Denver Broncos on Sunday, that the Pittsburgh Steelers are also postseason bound as well, in spite of them losing to the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. So you look at it right now and the way things are. Kansas City, they're still sitting atop the AFC with a record of 13-1, and their closest competitor at this point is the Buffalo Bills. And you just have to wonder, will Buffalo be able to catch Kansas City? And of course, Buffalo's the only team that has beaten the Chiefs so far this season. And of course, things changed with the high ankle sprain that was suffered by Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes on Sunday in their loss, oh, pardon me, in their win rather, to the Cleveland Browns. So if you're Kansas City, you've got that two-game cushion over the Bills right now, and you've got three to go. And it's not an easy three games for the Chiefs to finish this season. They host the Houston Texans this Saturday, and then they turn right back around on Christmas Day, and they'll be at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, and then they finish up on the road against the Denver Broncos, a Denver Broncos team that almost pulled it out at Arrowhead earlier this year. Of course, in Week 10, it was a 16-14 win by the Chiefs, and it was came down to a blocked field goal by the Chiefs to hold on to the win. So we've seen Kansas City this season. Been playing a lot of tight ones with Mahomes at quarterback, and you just have to wonder if his presence or how his presence of not being there will impact this team. Well, one thing is for certain: Andy Reid, the Chiefs head coach, knows a thing or two about getting to the postseason with different quarterbacks. I mean, you look at Andy Reid's illustrious coaching career in the NFL. And of course, as a head coach, it began with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you just think about all of the different quarterbacks that Andy Reid has been able to win games with in the NFL and also get to the postseason with. He got to the postseason with Donovan McNabb as the starting quarterback, Jeff Garcia, Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith, just to name a few. He's also won games in the NFL with the likes of AJ Feely and Vince Young as well, starting contests for him. So, you look at it, the Chiefs are going with Carson Wentz right now. And I know that things did not finish well for Carson Wentz with the Philadelphia Eagles. Didn't have a good go of it in Washington either. But if there's anybody who can get the best and get the most out of Andy Reid, it's going to be get the most out of Carson Wentz. Rather, it is going to be Andy Reid. I'll tell you like this: that's a high ankle sprain. It's going to take a couple of weeks at least. But if you're the Chiefs, the more that you can win now, potentially without Mahomes, it helps you because clearly, if the Chiefs keep on winning, in spite of whatever Buffalo does, Kansas City is going to get that first round bye. And of course, that's going to mean an extra week off. And it's also going to mean more time for Patrick Mahomes to rest that ankle as well. I think at the very least, you're not going to see Mahomes play this Saturday against the Texans. We'll have to see how things plan out or pan out rather. And let's see, if he's going to be available on Christmas Day when the Chiefs travel to the Steel City to face the Steelers. But nonetheless, it's one of those. You're talking about the team that's closest to Kansas City right now, and I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills. They are 11-3. Okay, and as long as the Bills got to play, have something to play for, do not, and I repeat, do not expect the Bills to lose another game this season. I mean, it was a tough loss in Week 14 for them as they fell 44-42 on the road to the Rams. But then they came back Sunday and they hung 48 on the Detroit Lions at their place. They've got 2 games with New England and 1 game with the Jets. So, like I said before, as long as the Bills have something to play for, they're not losing again during the regular season. And if Buffalo takes care of their business and Kansas City does stumble over the next couple of weeks, and of course, if they finish with the same record, it's going to be Buffalo that gets home field advantage on the AFC side, and that means that the Chiefs would drop. And again, you look at Buffalo, Josh Allen is arguably playing the best football of his NFL career right now. And the folks in Western New York definitely have to be thinking maybe, just maybe, this is the year for Buffalo to win the AFC and get back to the Super Bowl. You think about, like I talked about it before, the battle in the AFC North between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And it would not be the month of December if Pittsburgh and Baltimore weren't getting it on with a meaningful game on the line, and of course, division supremacy on the line as well. You look at Pittsburgh right now. If the playoffs started today, the Steelers would be the 3 seed with a record of 10-4, while the Ravens would be the 5 seed with a record of 9-5. Of course, these two teams met in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, and it was the Steelers who got the best of the Ravens. Now the scene is shifting this Saturday afternoon with a big game on the line between these two division foes once again. But nonetheless, both the Steelers and Ravens have daunting schedules remaining in these final 3 games here. Pittsburgh's at Baltimore on Saturday. They then host the Chiefs on Christmas Day, and then they finish up at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. While after facing the Steelers, the Ravens will then travel to take on the Texans on Christmas Day, a potential playoff preview right there. And then, of course, Baltimore will finish at home with the Cleveland Browns. So, one question is going to be, who has the inside track to win the AFC North? Right now, I'm going to say Pittsburgh, just due to the fact that, hey, Pittsburgh is 1 game up on Baltimore in the standings. Also, Pittsburgh has the 1 win over Baltimore so far this season. But nonetheless, if the Ravens do win on Saturday, and they are heavily favored as of right now to win that game, but nonetheless, that would change things because then Pittsburgh would be 3-2 in the division, as would Baltimore. But then Pittsburgh rather, still has the advantage over Baltimore via conference record. Currently, the Steelers are 7-2 against AFC competition, while the Ravens are just 5-4. And I said it when it happened. Okay, at some point, that loss in week number 2 for the Baltimore Ravens at home to the Las Vegas Raiders, just one of the 2 wins that the Raiders have on this season, would come back to bite them. And if the Ravens have to go on the road in the wild card round, and they'll have to be on the road throughout the AFC playoffs, they're going to look back at that loss early in the season to the Raiders. The importance, though, like I said, of winning your division and getting at least one home playoff game. Of course, we know 3 of the teams that are division winners on the AFC side as of right now, and of course, we're still trying to figure out who's going to win the North, whether it's going to be the Steelers or whether it's going to be the Ravens. And then, speaking of that, the wild card battle. So we know that whoever loses out on this division, whether it's Pittsburgh or Baltimore, they more than likely, okay, are going to be the top wild card in the AFC. You've also got the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers in that mix as well. More than likely, it's going to be the AFC North loser as well as the Broncos and the Chargers making the playoffs, because right now you've got Baltimore and Denver at 9-5, while the Chargers are 8-6. And the 3 teams that are still in the mix, you've got the Colts, you got the Dolphins, and you got the Bengals. All of them are coming in right now at 6-8. All of them need to run the table. All of them need a lot of help. And of course, if you're the Colts, that loss Sunday to the Broncos was huge. Okay, because sake of argument, Colts win that game. They're 7-7. The Broncos are 8-6. We're talking about this thing a lot differently than we are at the current moment. So I think for all intents purposes, the 7 teams that would be in the playoffs right now on the AFC side are going to be the 7 teams that we're going to see get there. It's just a matter of playoff seeding at this point. You look at it for the Chargers. I know they have not played well the last couple of weeks. 2 losses. They lost a heartbreaker on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they surprisingly got blown out at home this past Sunday, courtesy of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you look at the Chargers' remaining 3 games. They host Denver on Thursday night. That's a big one, and it's a real big one for the Broncos. Why? Because you lost earlier this season at home to the Chargers. So, of course, if the Chargers win that game, they get the tiebreaker. After that, the Chargers finish on the road, first in New England with the Patriots, and then in Vegas with the Raiders. While for the Broncos, they've got the Chargers on Thursday night, of course. They're then on the road for the Cincinnati Bengals in week number 7. Pardon me, the Broncos, rather. They're on the road with the Cincinnati Bengals in week 17, and then they finish up at home with the Chiefs. The Chiefs team that they came extremely close to defeating first time around this season. But like I said before, this AFC playoff picture, like the teams are basically set, but it's still in the jumble as far as who is going to be seated where. Kansas City coming down the stretch. They've got they've got the Texans, pardon me, on Saturday. Then it's Pittsburgh. Then it's Denver. Not an easy schedule. And you look at all 3 of those teams, very physical defenses. Okay. So if they were to trot Mahomes out there for those last 2 games, it's a tall task for him going up against these 2 tough defenses. I know that they're trying to hold off the charges of the Buffalo Bills. And of course, like I said, if the Chiefs can win, that definitely helps them to get Mahomes some additional rest. Buffalo's coming hard for that top spot. Okay, that there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just a matter of whether or not Kansas City falls back. We got to wait and see what happens over the next 3 weeks. And then, you got the Houston Texans right there. They're 1 game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And of course, it's going to be a battle to try to win the AFC North. Would Houston be able to surpass the AFC North winner for the 3 seed? I mean, you look at the Texans' final 3. They're at Kansas City this Saturday. They host the Ravens on Christmas Day, and then they finish up in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. So not an easy schedule for Houston either. Remember, the Texans lost to the Titans earlier this season at home by the score of 32-27. So again, there's a lot still up in the air. A lot can happen with the wild card picture as well, whether between Baltimore, the Chargers, or the Broncos, as far as who is going to be seated where. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's that time of the year. The intensity for me is always there for the NFL season, but now with the playoffs right around the corner and the battle for seeding, it's not even spots right now; it's more seeding on the AFC side. A lot still has yet to be determined with just 3 weeks to go in the NFL season. This is what it's all about. It's put up or shut up time, and let's see who has what it takes to get it done, get into the postseason, and make some noise on the AFC side. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.